I mean, I guess it's been gestating for a long, long period.
It feels like
my life. The first time that I had the conscious impulse to do this film, actually, it was 12 years ago that I thought it was going to be my next film after Children of Men. Didn't happen because of life, but I think it was for the best. I don't think that I still have yet the tools. Yali. It was like 12 years ago. I didn't have the tools, but the tools, it was not so much about the resources as the emotional tools.
What specifically does that mean? You meant you had to spend a little bit more time living with it in order to feel like you could make it?
Well, it was not by choice, it was just by, I didn't feel secure at that moment. Maybe I after kind of start drafting something, I let it go, and I didn't know I was going to take it again. And when I say I didn't have the tools, is that in one hand, probably I didn't have the confidence then in terms of letting go, because a lot of this process for all of us was about letting go, and not having safety nets and not having just. And in the other hand, it was about the emotional tools in terms of approaching some stuff of my personal life or people very close to me in a complete barren way.
And in terms of this process of letting go, I'd like to direct that question to the actors and ask them about the process of working on this film. I can imagine that it was quite different from your ordinary film shoot, and of course it's a first experience.
Yes, absolutely different from any other experience I've ever had as an actress. The first thing I would say is that we were working without a script. He had it, but we didn't. So he will deliver the information of what's going to happen day by day, and separately to each actor, and then he would put it together, and then magic and life started to appear there. But for me, in the beginning, it was really hard because I had to work in a different way. I had to backwards, as actors, we tend to first of all analyze the situation, the character, and really analyze the situation, and there was none of this. It's in life surprises you. You don't think about it until it's happened, and so that was the process. Not just like in life.
So we shot in absolute chronological order. So it's when she's saying learning day by day what was going on. It was because day by day they will, like you in life, you don't know what's going to happen the next day.
Sí, fue algo complicado, fue mi primera experiencia, pero igual una vez ya que estábamos en la grabación, te olvidabas de que era una película y simplemente ibas viviéndola como tu vida, porque pues en la vida nada está escrito, y entonces el director pues no nos daba un guión, y lo único que trataba era de ir viviendo esa vida.
Actually, yes, it was complicated. It's my first experience. So during the shooting, I tried to forget that I was in a film, and I tried to see it as real life, as you live your life. Because in life, there's nothing written. As well, the director didn't give us any screenplay, and this is how I try to go through this, like living it like my own life.
And I have to add that it's very admirable what Yalitza and Marina did. In one hand, Marina really had to, as she said, unlearn, because she was facing chaos all the time. As everybody was, I would give directions to each character individually, and I would give the written pages, the screenplay, the dialogue, just to, you know, it was mostly Marina and Yalitza that same morning, in which you know, there was something written, and whichever expectation she had that was going to happen, because of the instructions to the other characters, it would completely contradict everything that she's trying to do.
Yes.
She was trying to catch up with the situation. With Yalitza, the funny thing is, for Yalitza, she thought that was a normal process of making a film, because she had never done a film. But at the same token, and it's admirable, she would receive the pages, but not only the pages, a lot of that dialogue in Mixteco.
Yes.
And she's not fluent in Mixteco. Nancy, who plays Adela, is. And so she would have to master the Mixteco every day, you know? Every day you would have to...
Wow. Let's open it up for questions from the audience. Yes.
I was wondering if you could talk about the place of nature in the film, because we see it through the earthquake first, then the fire, then the water at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, it's as you rightly say, there are a lot of elements, and actually through the film we try to honor the, you know, like a fire, wind, water, and earth, you know, but at the same time we try to also acknowledge stuff like heaven and earth. The film starts looking at earth, in which heaven is nothing but a reflection through the water. You know, and eventually the water starts to have a more meaningful role until everybody's submerged in the water. And it finishes looking at the sky for the first time, just framing the sky. You know? And part of that is just that life is something that is transient. You know, is something that also is our individual experiences. There are elements that we cannot control, that are completely out of our control. Our relationships of affection, those are the ones that we can control. And it's the only thing that we can control and flow through. You know, you have a certain control I'm talking about, because then you're talking about different individualities. So there is also a randomness in those affections. Not in those affections, but in those relationships. And at the end, existence is nothing but a shared experience of loneliness.
Alfonso, I want to ask you a question that relates to this question of the greater force of the momentum of the film and what you're dealing with, and that's the relationship to the sound and how you conceived of sound in the film, because it's very much gives you the presence of the surrounding world in every single moment. And I just wanted you to talk about that, how you assembled that soundtrack, how you worked on it, and your conception of sound in the film.
Yes, when you're dealing with memory was the tool of research of this film. The tool of diving into this film was memory. It was about reproducing the spaces the way they were, or recovering those spaces, casting people, doppelgangers to the original people, same costumes, shooting the same street with the same cars parked, with extras that look like the neighbors, and so on. And but memory, the visual aspect of memory is just one single aspect, and probably in many ways, maybe it's the lesser.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's the cliche, yes, you know, that through Proust, through smells and taste is the whole transformation, but at least in my experience, that is true.
Yeah.
The other thing is sound, that by the way, Proust doesn't talk, well, it's not true. He talks about the bells in the church and all of that stuff.
But Robert Bresson talks a lot about sound and how important it is to...
And that was this whole thing of saying, okay, so that sense of memory, I would know if I was doing a scene and that the scene was making sense when it was not only about what I was experiencing there, but my sensorial aspect of what I was looking at, what I was listening to that, and this whole thing that obviously is a suggestive thing because it was not happening many times, is my sense of smell. You know, sometimes this kind of, even if it was not there, it would trigger that memory. And I wanted to recreate that same with sound. In this specific thing is also the sound of a city and the sound of a society. Each society is nothing specific with Mexico. Each society, each culture, they have its own musical rhythm. And it's a musical rhythm that is not focused. You know, it's around us. It's as acknowledging what we were talking about, the elements of earthquake or wind, or that those are elements that are around us that we cannot control. Same, that was the idea to create with the sound. So it would to do in a very objective narrative, because the narrative is very objective, it's not a subjective point of view, to create a very individual experience for the audience. The thing was not to give answers or telegraph things for the audiences, for the audience to be participant to the experience of their own memory.
Thank you so much for this wonderful, incredible fresco that you painted of Mexico in the 70s. I'm Italian, and I think it speaks also to Italy in the 70s. My question is, you painted these women, incredible women. I wouldn't say strong women, let's say women who survive with grace. And men, are kind of little people in this movie, to me at least. They seem kind of ridiculous in a way, and mean as well. I was wondering if it was like a sort of planned decision to come up with this, or you ended up like being drawn by the plot and the story, or your memories. Thank you.
Yeah, the process of making this film was never an intellectual process. It was gathering from my memory and my endless conversations with Libo, who's the real person whose character of Cleo is based upon. And it was a merge between my memories and her memories, making sure that a big percentage of that was a shared memory. Some stuff like her personal life going outside of the house, I couldn't know. And it was part of what she would describe to me, or doing exercise at night, every night with a candle, because the grandmother will be upset if they waste electricity, And so, yes, and everything is the past, but taken from the prism of from my present. But it was never an intellectual choice. I was doing a film about. The funny thing is, I was doing a film about Cleo, in which the family was a satellite thing around Cleo. It happens, and it was not by design, that yes, there's another circumstance that's the head of a family, that is Sophia. And the rest is, it's a period of my story. Yes, my father left, the father of the child of the real life, Cleo, also left. But it was never an attempt of making a statement of any kind. And I'm glad that I hope that the film it's not telegraphing or trying to make statements, and it's individual experiences that take from the film what they, it's like life. Life, you said fresco, is like like a huge mural in which we choose our own experience, and we paint everything through the prism of our own experience. And I hope that the film is that, rather than something that is the audience is just receptive, but something which the audience partakes with their own experience.
Okay, I was pointing to the back, but we can go here first and then to the back.
Alfonso, it's a great movie. It lives up to all the hype that we heard from all the different festivals. Congratulations. And Yalitza, both actresses are fantastic. One question is, why is it called Roma? And the other question is, the other observation is, it was fun to see Marooned as a little nod to Gravity. Did you actually go to see Marooned?
Roma is the neighborhood where the story takes place. It's called Colonia Roma. And the funny thing is, the movie was untitled. It was my producer, Nicolas Celis, as a work in progress because she needed to get permits. He called it Roma because it took place in Colonia Roma. And then it stuck. Again, and I can see that you can create metaphors and allegories around that name, and it's okay. It's like the rest of the thing of the film. Everybody will do their own interpretation. In terms of Maroon, it's the opposite thing. Gravity is a comment to Maroon, not Maroon a comment to Gravity. It's like that. I watched Maroon precisely in that period, and it was, and I guess that this idea of drifting into the void, it's something that I remember as a kid feeling this insignificant thing in this, that that when you get that awareness of that, and that's what I'm talking about, the shared experience of loneliness. We're like all these little astronauts that the only thing that keeps us going is that human connection. So it's and isn't it great that in my film I can say that I have film with Gene Hackman? Sorry, first film is not going to be you two, it's going to be Gene Hackman.
There's someone in the back, yeah, all the way in the back. There you go. There should be a microphone on its way.
Hi. Thank you so much for this and all of your films. I'm a big fan. But I just wanted to ask about the visual style and how you tackled this role as the director of photography for the first time in a while. This film.
Well, the approach is not like sound. I was clear that I wanted an objective experience, and I wanted to honor time, the sense of time, not only the passage of time throughout the film, but the sense of time itself. There's a reason when Cleo goes at the beginning and is washing the floors, it takes its time. She even goes to the bathroom and we just wait for her there. It's just that sense of existence, that things that flow in time. It was as much as honoring time as honoring space. And the thing about time and space is that times and space obviously limit us. It limits what we are, but at the same time creates this amazing experiment that is your individual experiment, but it's also the social experiment that is all around. And it was this whole thing of not giving more weight to character, to the environment. It's like, and I believe that one thing is always informing the other. When we are surrounded by people and large groups of people, it's obviously a social environment. But when we're in nature is also part of that universe that is informing us all the time. And at least in my sense, for me, memories also work like that. You know, they are so colored by all of that other universe around you. And yeah, that's the reason as much as possible, we wanted to honor that, which also the actors, that the whole thing was so random, that the actors needed a space a space of action. Because if you start constraining in terms of because everything is very white, so that would allow, if anything happened, for them to be flowing around the frame, or in some instances, going out of the frame and coming back. And the thing of cinematographer, Chivo was going to do it. His DNA is all around.
I want to ask Marina and Yalitza about seeing the finished film, and how, you know, what your impressions are of seeing the film as someone who made it.
La primera vez que la vimos fue en Venecia, estuvimos juntas, ambas terminamos llorando, pero igual con esa emoción de ver cómo había quedado todo el trabajo, la visión que tuvo Alfonso para armarlo, y pues era sorprendente. Y muchos comentaban durante el proceso que habían escenas que no iban a salir, habían cosas que no me iba a dar cuenta, pero ahí iban a estar en la película, y era verdad. Todo lo fue armando de una manera maravillosa.
Well, the first time we saw the film, it was in Venice. We were together, Marina and I, and at the end we were crying, and we felt all this excitement of seeing all the hard work that was behind and along that time. And also the vision of Alfonso, which is amazing. And I was told during the process that there would be some scenes that would not make it to the film, and that happened too. But I think the way he just put it all together was fabulous.
Well, yes, it was incredible. For everything that I think about the movie, it's after, because when we were doing it, it was about just swimming into the experience and not thinking and not, no rationalizing anything. And then when I saw it, everything started, all these thoughts about being a mother, about my lost childhood, about my father that also left, about me living with my kid alone, that they started to unfold and arouse, and it was really moving, and it still is.
Yeah, I mean, not a bit unrelated, but had to do with the other thing, is because this is a film about memory, yes, about the past, about 71. And I want to say about audiences filling up is exactly what Marina is saying, is investing their own experience into the film, and that's the reason you say it's like Italy. You know, but I heard the same thing about someone from Bombay, you know, tell me that that it was just like that. And that related with the visual aspect that you talked. It's black and white, but it's not a nostalgic black and white. It's an approach of the passing through the present. It's a digital 65 millimeters black and white without grain. You know, it's almost sacrilegious in the terms of the classic black and white. That I enjoy, by the way. It's not a judge. It's just we didn't want it to feel like that we're immersing into the past. It's a point of view from the present. It's as if the approach of audiences, it has to be from their own standpoint. You know, Marina will have her experience, Yalitza will have her own experience about her experience with it, but same, hopefully, the audience.
That's all the time we have. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You